Welcome to the Detecting History Podcast Extras.
Sophie, girl that digs, welcome to the Extras episode where we talk all about your perfect detecting day. So this is always fun. Basically, the gods, the universe is with you. This is going to be your dream day. So you can say whatever you want and how it's going to be, and I'll run through. So on your dream detecting day, what time do you set the alarm for, or not, as the case may be?
Well, I'm an early bird, so I like to get up nice and early. So I'm probably going to set the alarm for, I don't know, 6:15, something like that, 6:30.
Oh, wow. That is early.
I'm up with the lark. And just have a bit of time to, get up, get ready, get my kit together, load up the car, and make a bit of a picnic. I always need a picnic. I mean, I know if it's a bad day, if I've eaten my picnic by about 11 a.m., then I'm having a bad day. So it keeps me going, having a picnic in the car. So
more snacking than digging.
Yeah. So I'm up early and raring to go usually.
Okay, cool. So you're up early, you open the curtains. Now, what does the weather look like in terms of your perfect detecting weather?
I actually don't like to detect on a really sunny day. I mean, sunny and mild is nice, but I don't want it to be too hot. Don't want it to be too rainy. I mean, it's got to be perfect conditions, doesn't it? So I actually like it a little bit cloudy. So I'm not getting too hot and bothered digging, all those holes that I end up digging. And not too warm, just the right temperature. If I can get away with just a t-shirt, then that's great. But I don't want it hot and sunny and
hard work then, isn't it?
Don't mind a bit of drizzle, but ideally dry.
Yeah, lovely. And you get up. Do you have any breakfast? Do you like to fuel up before you go out with your picnic, or do you just have a cuppa?
No, I do. I do like breakfast, but I think I'm always really, so this is a girl thing, isn't it? But it's really important, I would say, to have a low fluid breakfast. So it depends where I'm digging and who I'm digging with. I mean, the group that I go digging with, they've now got one of these pop-up tents, for the ladies' loo, which is amazing.
Yes.
So I really like that they're thinking of, facilities, but it's just not quite so easy. I mean, I've got quite adept at ducking behind a hedge, but if you're with people, there's an element of risk there, isn't there? And you don't want. So I keep breakfast. I would say to a minimum. In terms of cups of tea or cups of coffee. I'm a coffee drink. I love a cup of coffee, but I can't do that before I go detecting because I'll get down the road and need to I eat breakfast, but I keep it low on the drink.
Low on the liquid side of things. Yeah. Had some good giggles talking about that. And I had a shiwi for a time. But that can have dangers in itself with a bit of splashback. But as long as you've got a bush that you can access or a tree you can tuck behind, and speaking to Dawn, people like that just turn around to the chaps and go, turn around, because it's natural, isn't it? We just got to go. You got to go. The worst thing is in the middle of a really big field. There's no trees. It's the type of hedge that you can't get through, and you're surrounded by people, and you're like, what do I do?
What do I do? I know. I feel like my entire life is spent living life on the edge when it comes to going to the loo, because I've got a 6-year-old boy, and so if we go anywhere and I've got to go spend a penny, I'll go to the loo, and I'm like, well, you'll have to come in with me because I can't just leave him out, and when he was a bit younger, I couldn't just leave him stood out in the so he has to come in with me. And then the whole time I'm sort of, trying to have a wee. He's opening the door, playing with the lock, and I'm shouting, don't open that door, do not open that door. And it's a bit like that. I go detecting and I'm like, oh God, I need the loo and I've got to find a hedge. But there's, like you say, there's people over there. Nobody needs to see me with my,
Yeah.
Trousers down.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, it would just be nice to pee in peace, to be honest.
pee in peace. And then
Yeah.
the guys, obviously, it's a lot easier for them, but they don't get shy, do they? Because their whole life they're weeing
Yeah.
together, basically, aren't they? In the toilets, in the
Very
urinals.
communal and
Whereas we're like, that's so private. Apart from when we've gone to the club or something, and then everybody just sort of lunges into the toilets together, don't they? It's weird, very odd. But that is a hazard for a detective. So my top tip that someone told me one day, and it was more to do when you get stuck in a traffic jam, maybe on the motorway or something. As long as you're on the left-hand side, what you can do if you've got a 4-door or 5-door car is you can open the passenger door and then open the rear passenger side door. And then you've got your own little cubicle with the two doors hiding you. And then you can just sort of sit on the edge and go then. And that works. And I've had to do that once. But it worked.
the things we have to do.
The things as a woman that you have to think about. Right. So you're off out now. What is your perfect terrain? Do you prefer ploughed, stubble, pasture?
Oh, well, to be honest, because I only started detecting properly in April, and all my permissions are pasture, I haven't actually experienced, ploughed land until the past few weeks, months. So, I can safely say I am still very much a pasture girl. I like the speed and efficiency of sort of pasture. I can dig that, the clod, move that, flip it open, find what I'm looking for pretty quickly. Obviously, digging on ploughed land, I'm now finding it just comes with its own hazards, doesn't it? You're sort of digging and it's like filling in the hole as you're trying to dig. And then I realised I should probably wear glasses to go detecting if I'm detecting on ploughed land, because that's another thing. I'll be like pointing around with my pinpointer and I can't find what it is I'm looking for. If it's a small target, it takes me ages, and just can't see it. I don't know what it is, but I like pasture. I'm used to pasture. I'm a happy pasture digger.
Nice, yeah. And the thing ploughed is as well, if it's freshly ploughed, you can get all excited, but then if they haven't rolled it, you can just have these massive, it's like walking on Mars or something, ankle type conditions. It can be difficult. The dream is like a rolled, freshly done, a deep ploughed, but then rolled field. That would be perfect, but that in itself is a rarity. For me, my farmer never does a deep plough, and with lots of flint, that's probably why. I don't know how you just get everything grow as well as it does. Sometimes it can be a bit dodgy, but pasture is the dream. I've got a couple of pasture fields and they're lovely. With your plug, do you go for a 3-sided plug that you flip out, or 4, or a big hole, like a round circle?
I tend to go for a 3-sided, flip it. Just occasionally, I'll do a sort of a whole, round circle and take that out. But that's only really if I'm sort of struggling, if you hit like stone. And I mean, I don't live in an area that there's a lot of, there's not flint. And so it is generally quite easy to dig. There's few stony permissions that I have. So I'm usually able to just do the 3-sided, flip it, and then it's all neat and tidy and efficient and
lovely and tidy. Then you can see where you've been, and the grass won't die if it's in the summer.
I think I'm always quite conscious as well that if you're digging something, and particularly if you're on a group dig or something, and there's people around you, I'm always a bit embarrassed if I make a right hash of the earth. Do you know what I mean?
Messy.
Like sometimes I'd be like mortified if anybody came and they realised I'd dug my hole, completely, misjudged my target, had to dig a little bit more, and it's that feeling that you need to be doing it right, isn't it? Which it's quite a lot of pressure. So I do. I tend to try and just keep it neat if I can, but obviously sometimes I get it completely wrong. And,
Yeah.
I'm off target, and I've got to dig a bit more, and it all becomes a bit of a mess. But
Yeah, it can be a bit worrisome when people are watching. Sometimes the clod falls apart on you if it's been dry, but then it just, we all do our best and get it all back in and put the grass on top. But a lot of people get cross, and rightly so, when there's group digs, and some people might not care as much as you do, Sophie, about the quality of putting the holes back, and then that can risk the permission for the whole group. So yeah, it's a tricky subject. You can see a lot on Facebook, people talking about holes and people not.
Yeah, I had a lot of advice, when I started out about how I'm digging and it's quite, sometimes with the advice you get, it's hard not to take it personally. If somebody's like, well, you shouldn't be doing it like that, you need to do it like this. There's lots of ways to do it, isn't there? But I've tried to take on board advice and just, sort of, do it as best as I can, really. But
that's the key. Do it as best you can. We all have our own ways.
Yeah.
We always have people that think their ways might be the best way, but sometimes we do it our way and do a good job. Right. So you've mentioned this before on the main episode a bit, but do you prefer solo, with a buddy, or group digs?
I'd say with a buddy or a group dig. Yeah, I love group digs.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that there's a lot of big groups out there. I know a lot don't have good reputations and a lot do have good reputations, but the group I'm part of, it's fairly small. Everybody's really friendly. So I love to go out with them. But I just like, as I said earlier, I like to have just somebody in the field with me. If it's just detecting with somebody else, a buddy, that's great. I just love that. They sort of motivate you, don't they? And can motivate each other. I mean, you can have a laugh about the ridiculous things you find, or the fact that you're not finding anything, or so yeah, I do go out on my own. I mean, I detect probably 2 to 3 times a week, and usually Tuesdays and Thursdays I'll go out on my own somewhere. So I do go on my own, but I've got more staying power with a buddy, that's for sure.
Yeah, you help spur each other on, don't you? Especially if you're just finding lots of moo tubes or bottle tops. It's like, come on, keep going. You can make fun out of it then, can't you? And be like, oh, I've got vintage 1970s Fanta ring pull, and then it just makes it fun, doesn't it? Excellent. And what's your perfect duration of your dig on your perfect detecting day? How long do you like to dig for?
So as long as I've got that picnic in the car, then I'm happy. I'm a happy digger. I'm happy to be out all day. I think, like you say, some trains are harder than others, aren't they? I mean, the other week I was at a dig which was on deep plough land. I hadn't detected on deep plough land before. I mean, it was like an assault course. And I don't have a lot of patience, as I've said. Some things I tend to get really annoyed with stuff. So if it's something like deep plough where I'm sort of stumbling all over the place, or really like the tough double, and I get a bit frustrated, and I get, I can feel like the annoyance creeping in. I get a bit mad with it. So those days, I maybe manage 4 or 5 hours, and I'm done. But if it's good land, on pasture, or if it's been ploughed and rolled and flattened and everything, then I can last a little bit longer. So I'm happy to go. I'm happy to go all day. But as long as the sort of mind game hasn't beaten me.
Exactly. Well, it's your dream detecting day, so you'll be fine on this day.
Yes.
And you'll be able to go all day.
I'll be there all day on pasture with my picnic. I'll have a little break halfway through the day, then I'll go back out, and I'm good.
Lovely. And what's a happy haul for you then? Of course, it's your dream day, so you're going to be finding all those gold status. But on a normal day, what are you content with? What do you think? Okay, I'm happy to go home with that.
Yeah, I think it's always good to find a coin or two.
Something round.
Yeah, something round. You always get that buzz, don't you? Whenever it's a coin, you always get a buzz.
Never goes.
Never
Yeah.
goes. So it's like, a couple of people said to me, there's a coin in every field. So I think if I find a coin in a field, then I feel like my day has been worthwhile. I am a bit I am a bit picky in that I like it to be of a certain age. As in, if it's like, I don't know, 1957 or 1960 something, I'm a bit like, I might need to keep going. But yeah, generally, if I found a coin, I'm happy. And I mean, if I find anything Roman, I love that. So, but I'm fairly happy digger, to be honest. I just happy with whatever I find.
Yeah, content with all the bits and pieces. So you've had your dream day, you found all your gold status, you're going home, and what's your home routine? Do you collapse in a heap, or do you get straight to looking at your finds, cleaning them up and seeing what you got and researching that kind of...
Well, I normally walk in and it's complete chaos because I've been out of the house and, family life has continued without me. And there is a trail of destruction usually. So I usually walk in and think, oh my God, I've got to sort all this out. So I usually just, drop everything and get on with sort of family life. But as soon as my little one's in bed, then I'm straight back to cleaning my finds, looking at them, trying to ID them. As I say, or as I said earlier, I don't spray off finds when I'm in the field. I've got this thing where, I'll dust it off, I'll brush it off if I need to, and I'll get an idea of what I think I'm looking at. But that sort of definitive, IDing and cleaning, I don't do till I get home. It's like to prolong the excitement and the joy of finding something, really. So quite often, I've found things, brought them home, cleaned them off properly, and it's only at that point that I've realised what I've actually found. So yeah, I love that part, and I sort of take lots of time, doing that. But yeah, I sort of have to wait for the chaos to calm down before I can get my head around it. I like to do it, when everything's sort of tidy and sorted and I've got my mindset right. I like to do it, and I can't be doing it with like, 6-year-old going, mommy, mommy, mommy in the background. I want to enjoy it and get into my zone again. A bit like the detecting, really. I need to be in the zone. I need to have my, my quiet time to clean stuff off and ID it and look at it properly. And
peace and serenity. Almost ceremonial, it sounds like. You sort of light some candles, get yourself a drink.
A little bit, yeah. Always involves a glass of wine.
Yay! I didn't want to presume, but I was thinking that's what I'd do.
I mean, yeah. Always involves a glass of wine, and I like to enjoy it and take my time, clean stuff off, and and then usually I say ID it as though I'm the one that IDs all these things, but actually most of the time, it's the Instagram community of friends and detecting friends, or some of the other contacts I have and friends that I have in the detecting world that usually ID things for me. I'm not a great person to ID things. I mean, if I found a hammered coin, I wouldn't have a clue.
Really?
Yeah, and I'd be like, oh, it's a hammered, great. I'll take it home and now message lots of people.
So finally, and most importantly, I sense this is important, Sophie. What for digging snacks? So what is the contents of this wonderful picnic we've been hearing about?
Picnic, yeah. So it's never very healthy, to be honest. Quite often I'll make a sausage sandwich.
Oh, lovely.
say that with me.
Yeah.
I'm also addicted to, and it's a bad addiction. Have you seen those, like, the breakfast bars? I eat a lot of breakfast bars because I am actually gluten free, so I have to be a bit, picnic's a bit of a challenge for me, but I do manage to bodge something together. But I'm obsessed with breakfast bars, and particularly there's one, it's Kind, they're called Kind, and they're like dark chocolate and nuts and sea salt.
Oh,
they're amazing. So they sell them at the garage near me. So literally most mornings en route to go detecting, I will pick up one or two of these bars, to the point where I'm now actually quite embarrassed when I go to the garage. I did say to them the other day, "Oh, I've got a bit of addiction to these," as I was like buying another three. But they're quite, yeah, I can't always find them full size in the supermarket, so that's why I buy them individually in the garage. But so there's always one or two of those in the bag.
Nice.
Bag of crisps. I mean, yeah, it's not a posh picnic by any means. It's just food,
Sounds good.
and I know if it, when I get a bit, I need to eat. I get a bit shaky. I don't know whether I have like low blood sugar or whatever. So, if I've been very physical and, walking a long way and digging lots of holes, I can get a bit sort of wobbly, and I feel like I need to eat. So, yeah, it's never a posh picnic. It's just fuel.
Sounds great to me.
Fuel to keep me going.
Sausage sandwich, a bit of chocolate and some crisps. Lovely.
Yeah, usually I take a flask, flask of tea or something.
Yeah.
Coffee is never the same in a flask, is it? I'm a bit of I like my takeaway coffee from Starbucks or whatever. But if I make an instant in a flask, it'll never taste good, does it? So yeah, but as I say, if I'm eating the picnic by sort of 10, 11 a.m., then it's not going to be a good day. Struggling, yeah. I've done that many a time.
Oh, well, brilliant. Well, thank you so much, Sophie. That sounds like a dream detecting day. I don't think anyone's going to argue with that. Thank you so much for sharing all about it on the extra section. Thank you very much. And we look forward to hearing from you again next year.
Yeah, I look forward to it.
All right. Take care, Sophie. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Detecting History A to Z.
Right, we're on the letter E. So we will go with King Edward I. Edward I, according to Historic UK, was known by many names, including Edward Longshanks, Hammer of the Scots, and English Justinian. He reigned as King of England from 1272 until his death in 1307. Edward I was born in June 1239 at the Palace of Westminster and was the son of King Henry III and Eleanor of Provence. As part of Edward's reign, he did an overhaul of the coinage system, first introducing the groat, worth 4p. In August 1280, Edward forbade the usage of the old long cross coinage, which forced the people to switch to the newly minted versions, which were easier to detect any kind of clipping. It was during the reign of King Edward I that Scotland tried to resist this ruling power. Resistance started under the leadership of Andrew de Moray in the north and William Wallace, aka Braveheart, in the south. On September 11, 1297, a large English force was defeated by an army led by Wallace and Moray at the Battle of Stirling Bridge. Soon after this, Edward returned from Flanders and he headed north. And on the 22nd of July, 1298, Edward defeated Wallace's forces at the Battle of Falkirk. In 1298, Wallace resigned as Guardian of Scotland. Wallace managed to evade capture by the English until 1305, when John de Menteith, a Scottish knight loyal to Edward, turned Wallace over to English soldiers near Glasgow. Wow, Scottish knight. Wallace was transported to London and was then taken to Westminster Hall, where he was tried for treason and atrocities against civilians in war. He responded to the treason charge, "I could not be a traitor to Edward, for I was never his subject." Oof, mic drop. Edward was known to be a fierce king, and there was no change in the sentence handed to William Wallace. If you have little people around, you might want to close their ears for this bit. Wallace was taken on the 23rd of August 1305 from Westminster Hall to the Tower of London. He was then stripped naked and dragged through the city by a horse. He was then hanged, drawn and quartered. So he was strangled by hanging, but then released while he was still alive, emasculated, eviscerated, beheaded, and then cut into 4 parts. And then his limbs were displayed separately in Newcastle, Berwick, Stirling, and Perth as a message to all those that might go against Edward. Yikes. Robert the Bruce was crowned as King of Scotland in February 1306. Edward acted with brutality against Bruce's family, allies, and supporters. In February 1307, Bruce was resuming his efforts against the English at the border. Edward had moved north himself to preside over the battles, and at this time he developed dysentery on the way, and his condition deteriorated, and on the 6th of July 1307, just south of the Scottish border, the king died in his servant's arms. Okay, for the second E, let's talk a little bit about Edward the Confessor. Edward the Confessor was born in 1003 and died in 1066. He was an Anglo-Saxon English king and saint. Oh, I didn't know he was a saint. Considered the last king of the House of Wessex, he ruled from 1042 until his death in 1066. So he had the 24 years as being the ruler of England. About a century after his death in 1161, Pope Alexander III canonized the king. Edward was one of England's saints until King Edward III adopted St. George as a national patron saint in about 1350. St. Edward's feast day is the 13th of October, if you are interested, and is celebrated by both the Church of England and the Catholic Church. He then died sometime on the night of the 4th or 5th of January 1066 due to illness. The confessor's wooden coffin still lies in a cavity in the top part of the Purbeck marble structure within Westminster Abbey. The shrine is regarded as the centre of the abbey, and 5 kings and 4 queens lie buried in his chapel. So if you go to westminster-abbey.org, there's lots and lots of information about the royalty buried at Westminster Abbey, and there's some beautiful pictures as well, so I highly recommend you go and check it out. Right, for the last E, we have to bring a lady into the picture, so let's talk about, of course, Elizabeth I. Elizabeth I was born on the 7th of September 1533 and died on the 24th of March 1603 at the age of 70. She was the last monarch of the House of Tudor and, of course, is sometimes referred to as the Virgin Queen. Elizabeth was the only surviving daughter of King Henry VIII and Anne Boleyn. Now, much like her father, King Henry VIII, Elizabeth's reign was long and a lot happened. So I'm just going to give you some highlights, and then I implore you to go and do your own research, because there's a heck of a lot to learn about this lady. So how did she get to reign? When her father, King Henry VIII, died in 1547, Elizabeth's younger half-brother, Edward VI, ruled until his own death in 1553. The crown was then passed to a Protestant cousin, Lady Jane Grey, and the claims of his 2 half-sisters, Mary, the Catholic Mary, and younger Elizabeth, were ignored. Edward's will was set aside within weeks of his death, and Mary became queen. She deposed and executed Jane, so she wasn't an issue anymore. And then during Mary I's reign, Elizabeth was imprisoned for a wee while, about a year, on suspicion of supporting Protestant rebel. Mary, Elizabeth's half-sister, then died in 1558. So Elizabeth then succeeded to the throne. Elizabeth reluctantly signed the death warrant for her cousin, Mary Queen of Scots, who was executed in 1587 after being implicated in plots to assassinate Elizabeth and take the English throne. But Mary's son, James VI of Scotland, survived, became James I of England upon Elizabeth's death in 1603. Like I say, there is a heck of a lot to learn about Elizabeth in terms of the religious settlement and how she aimed to find a middle ground between Catholic and Protestant practices in England, wars, the Spanish Armada. She was a big fan of fashion, with those big ruffs that she'd wear. She was also a big fan of the arts and supported people like playwrights Shakespeare and Marlowe. And she was very much into literature and drama. So yeah, lots to learn about Elizabeth, but there's a few of the highlights. Well, thank you for listening to this week's Midweek's Extras episode. I've been Katie McDoyle. Looking forward to speaking to you again next week. Bye.